I'm going to prepare a slow braised beef recipe, and from this recipe I'm going to make 4 time-saving menus that you're going to love, and I'm going to do it all with 1 5-pound chuck roast. Let's talk about slow braising. Braising is a combination cooking method using both moist and dry heat. The meat is first seared at a high temperature and then finished in a covered pot or a Dutch oven like I have here with a large amount of liquids. Back in the day, my mom would call this process pot roasting, and this is the skillet that she used. My mom gave me this skillet over 40 years ago, and when I want to make some good fried chicken, this is my go-to skillet. Here I have a 5-pound chuck roast that I purchased yesterday from Village Meat and Wine, the best butcher shop in Las Vegas. Believe me. Chuck roast has a lot of flavor and it is inexpensive, and if you have a great butcher like I do, he will cut your roast any size that you need. If you season a chuck roast like I'm going to do with the Pasilla Chili pods and other great spices, and then I'm going to cook it until it's fork tender, it's going to be absolutely awesome. This is a Pasilla Chili pod. They are mild to medium hot chilies, and they have a very rich flavor. They are not as strong in flavor as a poblano pepper or ancho pepper as it's called in its dried form, and they are not as hot as a jalapeno. These Pasilla chili pods are going to add an awesome flavor to my braising sauce. I've chopped my onions into chunks, and I've also chopped my garlic into chunks. And here's how I removed the stems and the seeds from my Pasilla peppers. Just grab the stem, pull it out the end, and then you want to rip it open because there's dried seeds in the inside. Just dump those out. And then I'm going to rip them apart and place them in my blender. In this saucepan I have 3 cups of boiling beef broth. Now I'm going to pour the broth over my Pasilla chili and cover it halfway with the blender lid. Placing the cover on the blender will allow my chilies to sweat and rehydrate faster. I'm going to let my chilies stand in the blender for 15 minutes. They'll turn a reddish brown color when they are rehydrated. I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to start preparing some of my other ingredients. My timer just went off, and as I told you earlier, once the Pasilla peppers are hydrated, they'll turn a reddish brown color and they're a little bit more pliable. Now I'm going to add my chunks of onion, and I'm going to add my garlic, I have 1 tablespoon of ground cumin that's going in, and 1 teaspoon of oregano. And I'm going to blend these until they're smooth. Okay, I blended my mixture until it's nice and smooth, and it has the consistency almost of tomato paste, just a little bit runnier than tomato paste. This is going to be my braising sauce. I'm preheating my oven to 325 degrees. I've rinsed my chuck roast off with cold water and I patted it dry with a paper towel. Then I sprinkled it with kosher salt and ground black pepper. I added 2 tablespoons of grapeseed oil in my Dutch oven pan, and I placed it over medium-high heat. Now I'm going to add my chuck roast and sear it on all sides, turning as needed to brown. Nice sound. Okay, now I'm going to stand it up on the side and I'm going to brown the side of my chuck roast. So far it's taken about 2-3 minutes per side to brown. I'm browning the other side of it. And remember I told you earlier the importance of having a great butcher? See how he's tied this for me? So it's keeping my chuck roast all together during the searing process. I poured my blended chili mixture over my chuck roast and added 1 more cup of beef broth. And I brought my braising sauce to a boil. Now I'm going to cover it with my lid. Turn the fire off, and I'm going to place it in my oven. I'm going to cook my chuck roast until it's fork tender, about 2 hours and 45 minutes. My roast is in the oven, and I have 2 hours and 45 minutes to kill. So I think I'm going to go hang out at the pool for a couple of hours. But before I go, I'm going to make myself a picture of homemade lemonade. My friend Roxy from California brought me a bag full of these lemons. Have you ever seen a lemon this size? I swear, it's the biggest lemon I've ever seen in my life. Thanks, Roxy. After 2 hours and 45 minutes roasting time, my chuck roast is done. And as I said, it is just fork tender. I transferred it to a platter and I let it rest for 15 minutes. And while it was resting, I took my braising sauce and I skimmed the fat off the top. And I boiled it over medium heat and I reduced it down. So now I have a nice, thick braising sauce. Now that my chuck roast is done, look who showed up in the kitchen. The chuck roast police. Man, that is so doggone tender. Look at that, babe. I cut my chuck roast into bite-sized pieces and I returned it back into my sauce. Now I'm going to incorporate the meat with the braising sauce. Now I'm going to make the first of my time saver menu. I'm going to make slow braised beef wraps, and here's how I'm going to put them together. Here I have 2 low-carb whole wheat tortillas. I have 1 jalapeno and cheddar cheese tortilla. All my ingredients that I'm going to stuff in my wraps, and my ice cold beer on the side. Now I'm going to start layering my ingredients. I got a spoonful of my slow braised beef. I'm going to add some romaine lettuce on the top. A little bit of my diced tomato. Some sliced red onions. My queso cheese. And a spoonful of avocado. Fold the ends in and just roll it up like so. The chuck roast police came back. Look at that. Now that's a wrap. Look at this. I think I'm going to try my whole wheat one first. That chuck roast is so tender. It is so worth it. Taking the time to slow braise this beef. Now from this beef, this 5-pound chuck roast, I'm going to make 3 more recipes. But for right now, I'm going to finish this wrap. To order a copy of my cookbook, The Road to Good Cooking, please go to my website at www.theroadtogoodcooking.com. Thank you for stopping by my cooking channel, and make sure you stop by tomorrow to check out braised beef menu number 2.